Alright, what we're looking at here is completely made with scrap grow chamber. It's HPS lighting going on with it. What I got is a 150 watt yard light that I converted over to a grow chamber light. And coming out of it, got an extension cord wired up to it. And then I got house wire running up to your light bulb here. Now, this little metal box is completely homemade with scrap metal. Just got a slot cut right there. That's for the wiring to go through when I wire it up. Got my wiring sitting here. Oh, one of the wire nuts fell off. Sit that right there. Okay, what you got here, this is what a 150 watt bulb looks like. This is the one, well, it's not the exact one that came out of there because that one burnt out a while ago. I made this many years back. And this metal hood right here, that was just scrap metal from vinyl siding, what they used to trim raw woodwork with. And pretty easy to make, you know, just a flat piece of metal, and I bent it right here and right here to get your angle, and cut a little flaps that flipped over, and then cut a piece that go in there, see? So it's real simple to make one of these, and just got some hex screws screwing it all together. Now up on top here, this is from old screen windows. This is the little track that they would put the screen in to put it into your windows, and got that screwed on. The reason for that is so it's easy to get out of the box, and that way I can do any sort of maintenance I got to do with no problems. Now in the box I've got these boards right here with the little slit in here. That's where these little babies slide right into. And I got a hole here and a fan over here. Now later we'll get to that. I'll show you how I got it set up to allow for airflow and everything. But that slides right into that little slot right there. Falls right into the little pockets I got there. And got a little bit of slide room. Now down below that, you probably can't see it right now. Here's a piece of glass that I used to separate the chamber. That's for to keep the heat from going down into the plants and stuff. And then of course I got a fan right here to blow it all out. Up top here is this little slot right above there, and that's where I can put this glass to store it, because in the wintertime when it's cold, see, it fits right in there. When the wintertime it's cold, I actually want that heat to make it down here, so that comes in as a good benefit there. And of course the inside of the box, now I'll wire this all up because it's not wired up yet. I got to rewire it all up. You got your tub, and right here for the plants, I'll get to that later. I'll bring the camera over here to do all that. But basically that's the general setup at first, and so I'll get back to when I get a little bit going and give you a demonstration of it. Thank you much. Got switches for the fans up here. Got a timer here. This timer here is for the water pump. Then we got a timer over here. That's for the lamp. You want them two to operate at different times, you know, on and off, and run through their cycles. Of course, then I got another plug in here that goes to the air pump. And down on the floor here, the whole mess is all plugged into this one little slot right here. And this is a ground fault circuit protector, and I always use these suckers. Of course, I got a built-in on-off switch, so I got to turn that on before I can start firing everything else up. So let's go ahead and click that on. And the air pump started instantly. Here's the air pump right now. That's not the normal spot to put it, but for now, just for this test situation, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to use it like that. Alright, next thing we'll turn on, let's turn the light on. Now I'm just clicking it straight into the on position. This is an HPS light, so it takes it a little while before it fires up. It'll be dim for a little bit, and then it'll brighten on. There is the tub for the hydroponic system. Right here is the overflow, and right here the pump hooks to this one, and it fills it up, and when it gets to the level for the overflow, it starts flowing right back down here into this bucket. Now them bubbles you see is what this aerator is doing. This baby right here is putting air bubbles in there. Let me go ahead and click the switch on this pump. See if we can't get this baby up and running. Let's see. Right here. Okay. Now it shouldn't take too awful long for that. I don't know if you noticed how much brighter it's starting to get in there. So the pump's right down there. This is a real cheap pump. It's the cheapest one you can get. So that's why this hose is short. I only have that much distance for the hose. So this shelf right here is made to go down to these other different shelf brackets as your plants get bigger. Normally when I originally had it set up, I had a pump that was made for pools, and it had a real powerful motor, and it could actually run it from up there all the way up to here, no problem. This one here works fine, like I said, as long as you got a couple feet rise. Otherwise it doesn't have enough power to fill a tub. Now it's going to keep putting water up in here until it gets up to that. Then it's going to start overflowing back. Now this fan over here is the ventilation fan for the thing. And right here, this switch right here is what I can use to turn these two fans on. Now this should be the switch for that one. That fan, oh, that was the upper fan. That was the one up top. There's the smaller one, or the bottom one. These fans right here are 10-watt fans. Now they're Radio Shack fans, and I originally had gotten these bigger fans right here, and this sucker here is a 20-watt fan. It sucked out so much air it'd make your head spin. I had no idea that they were as powerful as they are. These are really good fans. The ones that I got in there right now are just these ones. Now the extra good thing about these right here is it's a 10-watt fan. That upper one there is sort of noisy. That one there is fairly quiet, that lower one. I originally had it set up with 4 of them, but I don't even need 4. All I need is the 2 outlets. The 2 outlet fans to blow the air out of there. Oh, the good thing about them ones is that you can actually take a piece of dryer vent and mount it right here, and you could run it down to the floor to suck in fresh air up off the floor. That's getting a whole lot fuller, and still got a little ways to go. But that's the general with that. Now I've got a little lid that I got to get that for putting on top of that light. But I wanted to give you a general view of the whole setup. Yeah, like this here, you set it to run for maybe 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes, you know, depending on how big your root growth is and everything. And then you let it turn off, and it'll drain all that. Well, right now it's just water. It'll drain all that out of there, and then you set it for like 15 minutes later or so, where it starts pumping it back up again. Thing is, now this thing was only about 2/3 full when I started, but you really need to have something like at least double the size of the amount of liquid. You know, you should have it around 3 times the size actually of what the upper container can hold. I'm probably going to put a slightly bigger one. I've got some bigger containers that I can use for reservoirs, but this right here I got because I have a different setup I'm going to be making with that 400 watt, and it's got a double output, and I'm going to use 2 separate reservoirs and use one for each for each tub that I use on it, because I got 2 big tubs. I'm going to set them side by side, and I'm going to use different nutrients in each one. I've got some hydroponic nutrients, and then I've got some other ones, and I want to see which ones do better, so it's going to be like an experimentation on there. I got a couple screws up here, and 3 of them down there, and the bottom ones, drop them right into them slots right there. Yeah, let's see, where's my screws? Now the good thing about this is you don't really take it off that often, so you've got to fight with it all the time. There we go, good and tight. See how it made it to the top of that thing? Made it right up to the top. You can see both of your hose things there. Now when I shut it off, it's going to drain right out. Drain right out that other hole there. Let's see. This should be my pump one. Okay, right there. Yeah. Now what it's doing is right now, instead of draining through the overflow, it's draining right out that pump hole. And it'll let all that fluid drain right out of there. Right here, if you turn that upper fan off, this is already starting to warm up real nicely. So you can use this in cold weather. Now that's all it took right there. That baby's completely wiped itself out of fluid. But in warm weather with these doors, or in cold weather with these doors closed, this actually heats up to keep your plants. Situation I run into is like in the cold weather, this water here will shock them if the roots, when it's doing it. So you need a thermometer. I have a thermometer, not a thermometer, a water heater, aquarium heater. I have one to put in here, just haven't set it up yet. But I'm going to use a bigger reservoir and everything. And just turn that noisy fan on. 1 and 2. In the cold weather, see, I can turn that upper fan off, and it'll allow the air just to move down to here, and just leave the 1 fan on. You can also set right now all I got the timer set up for is the water and the lamp, so they turn off automatically when they're supposed to. But you can also set a timer up for these cool air. A lot of people, say that the cool air should be down in the lower hole, but I like the cool air to actually come in through the top here and flow down to the plants, because it's the leaves that need that carbon dioxide. And the best way to get them, if you're bringing the air in from the bottom, you need a fan to blow it upward. So, this way here, you just got your one fan here blowing out the cold air, or the hot air with the oxygen, all the oxygen in it. And then this hole here, the carbon dioxide, the air with carbon dioxide comes in, and where does it fall? Downward. 1, because it's cooler, and CO2 is heavier than oxygen.